Every day, we move through a world of invisible luxuries. We press a button to stay at a constant 72 degrees. We turn a handle, and clean water flows without limit. We use indoor plumbing and climate control without ever considering the infrastructure that makes them possible. When that world is stripped away, we are left with the reality of human vulnerability. 5 men are now stranded on a tiny wooden slab, drifting in the middle of the ocean, countless miles from the nearest coastline, for 7 full days. The architect of this experiment is Jimmy Donaldson, known as Mr. Beast. He is voluntarily removing every modern safety net to see what happens when a group of humans is forced back into a primal state of existence. His crew aren't wilderness experts. People like Lazarbeam are products of the digital age, average humans accustomed to high-speed internet and managed environments, suddenly thrust into a world where they have no control. This is more than a stunt. It's a psychological stress test. It tracks the exact moment the human mind and body begin to deteriorate once the protective bubble of civilization vanishes. The physical decay starts on day 1. The unshaded deck offers no reprieve from the relentless sun, and the constant, nauseating sway of the ocean begins to break down the crew's physical stability. At first, there is a sense of naive optimism. They even name a passing seabird Brian. But that lightheartedness fades as the heat and motion induce a deep, persistent sickness that turns the challenge into a nightmare. Without a managed environment, the body enters a state of attrition. From the first hour, the crew is on a biological timer, with their health and morale dropping every time the sun crosses the sky. Early on, the crew attempts to build a system of order. They construct a basic wooden shelter and use their rations to cook a hot meal, trying to maintain the habits of civilized life. This chart reveals a critical flaw. Just 36 hours in, they've consumed half their entire water supply. As water levels drop, food pressure rises. Unable to catch fish, they burn through finite emergency rations at an unsustainable speed. In a closed survival system, early successes often hide fatal deficits. Their hot meal and rudimentary roof provide a sense of stability that their actual resource levels can't support. By the 4th night, the rocking of the raft makes sleep impossible. This level of deprivation leads to a fracture in morale, manifesting as intense irritability and a dangerous loss of coordination. Under this mental strain, a simple mistake occurs. A dirty cooking ladle is dropped directly into the clean drinking water barrel. Covered in 4 days of filth, the ladle plunges into the reservoir. In a single second, a third of their essential water becomes entirely undrinkable. Survival scenarios are often dismantled by this specific compounding chain. Exhaustion leads to clumsiness, and one minor error creates a permanent, life-threatening deficit. The situation reaches its peak when a massive 20-hour storm hits the raft. This weather system arrives exactly when the crew's resources and energy are at their lowest point. The shelter they built proves useless against the elements. Horizontal rain and wind strip away their cover, leaving the crew soaked and exposed in the middle of the dark ocean. Forced into desperate measures, the crew stands all night. They rip up their beds, using mattresses as makeshift walls to block the freezing rain. When every tool and system fails, the challenge is reduced to raw physical endurance. This level of exposure accelerates the breakdown of both the body and the mind, pushing the crew toward their absolute limit. The next morning, the crew pushes through their exhaustion to waterproof the raft, fixing the leaks that nearly ended the challenge during the storm. But the ocean immediately changes its method of attack. The freezing rain is replaced by a scorching, unbearable heat that makes the wooden deck too hot to touch with bare feet. When a crew member jumps into the water to escape the heat, they are met with a painful jellyfish sting. The environment outside the raft is just as hostile as the one on top of it. In the wild, nature is not a static obstacle to be cleared. It is a cycling force that continuously finds new ways to test human limits. After 150 hours of survival, the rescue boat finally appears on the horizon. The 7-day clock is over. During their time on the raft, the crew's priorities have completely realigned. They no longer care about digital entertainment or modern distractions. They are focused entirely on the desire for a working toilet, a hot shower, and a dry room. These 7 days demonstrate the fragile relationship between our bodies and the world around us. Without the constant support of infrastructure, the human body begins to decline almost immediately. The true value of this isolation is found in the return to civilization. After days of pooping in buckets and shivering in the rain, a dry bed and clean water are no longer background noise. They are recognized as the essential luxuries they've always been.